Our first story is about the actions of an old carpenter who was about to retire, and its lessons apply to everyone's life. An older man, who has worked for most of his life as a carpenter, was ready to retire and decided to inform his employer contractor. He explained to his employer that he wanted to leave the house building business and focus more on his wife, while enjoying a life of leisure, having worked all these years tirelessly. Sad at the man's decision, the employer felt terrible that he was going to lose one of his best workers. He, however, asked the man to work on one last house project as a personal favor to him. The carpenter, who respected his boss to a great extent, agreed and immediately started to work on the new house. But unlike every other house he had built over the past few years, he did not use the full extent of his expertise with this final one. He took every shortcut he knew to finish the project in record time. The only reason behind it was he wanted to begin his second innings after retirement at the earliest. He cut corners, used inferior material, and hurried to get the task over with. Within weeks, the carpenter completed the house. And finally, the carpenter called his employer and showed him the house. The employer was very happy and grateful to him. He said to the carpenter, in a gentle tone, "Thanks for doing this personal favor for me." Then the employer handed over the carpenter some papers and keys to the front door and said, "These are for you. The house you just built is my parting gift for all your years of hard work and dedication." The carpenter was shocked and ashamed. He could not believe that the home he had just built was his own. If he had known this, he would have put his very best into it. This story makes us realize that whatever we do in our day-to-day life, we should do it with utmost passion and love, just like it's for your own self, because what we do today will have an impact on our future. It is important for a person to maintain consistency in all that is being done. As an individual, one is charged with building their lives, one day at a time. But more often than not, people often put less of their best in the building, forgetting that the life that is being built would be lived by them alone. Hence, build your life wisely. This story is about 3 brothers and a bundle of sticks. Once upon a time, an old man lived with his 3 sons in a village. The 3 sons were hard workers. Still, they used to fight all the time. The old man tried a lot to unite them, but he failed. Though the villagers appreciated their hard work and efforts, they made fun of them in their fights. Months passed by, and the old man fell sick. He told his sons to stay united, but they didn't listen to him. So, he decided to teach them a practical lesson so that they would forget their differences and stay united. The old man called his sons. He told them, "I will give you a bundle of sticks. Separate each stick, and you will have to break each stick into two. The one who breaks the sticks quickly will be rewarded more." The sons agreed. The old man gave a bundle of 10 sticks to each of them and asked them to break each stick into pieces. They broke the sticks into pieces in minutes. And again they started to quarrel among themselves as to who came first. The old man said, "Dear sons, the game is not over. Now, I will give another bundle of sticks to each of you. You will have to break the sticks as a bundle, not as separate sticks." The sons agreed and tried to break the bundle of sticks. Though they tried their best, they could not break the bundle. They failed to complete the task. The 3 sons reported their failure to their father. The old man replied, "Dear sons, see, you could easily break the single sticks into pieces, but you were not able to break the bundle. So if you stay united, nobody can do any harm to you." If you quarrel every time with your brothers, anyone can easily defeat you. And so the father suggested that they stick together. The 3 sons understood the power of unity and promised their father that whatever the situation, they would all stay together. The moral of the story is, when it comes to solving problems, it's much easier to work together as a group rather than spend all that time bickering. It's important to focus on the task and help each other to overcome roadblocks rather than argue. This story is about a smart worker. Once upon a time, a very strong woodcutter asked for a job with a timber merchant, and he got it. The pay was really good, and so were the work conditions. For that reason, the woodcutter was determined to do his best. His boss gave him an axe and showed him the area where he was supposed to work. On the first day, the woodcutter brought 25 trees. "Congratulations," the boss said. "Go on that way." Very motivated by the boss' words, the woodcutter tried harder the next day, but he only could bring 20 trees. On the third day, he tried even harder, but he only could bring 16 trees. Day after day, he was bringing fewer and fewer trees. "I must be losing my strength," the woodcutter thought. He went to the boss and apologized, saying that he could not understand what was going on. "When was the last time you sharpened your axe?" the boss asked. "Sharpen? I had no time to sharpen my axe. I have been very busy trying to cut trees." This is one of those inspirational stories that are meant to teach us about working smarter. Even if you're the hardest working student in your university, you'll still fall behind if you're not smart about the decisions you're making. Learn to react on the challenges of life. Once upon a time, a daughter complained to her father that her life was miserable and that she didn't know how she was going to make it. She was tired of fighting and struggling all the time. It seemed just as one problem was solved, another one soon followed. Her father, a chef, took her to the kitchen. He filled 3 pots with water and placed each on a high fire. Once the 3 pots began to boil, he placed potatoes in one pot, eggs in the second pot, and ground coffee beans in the third pot. He then let them sit and boil without saying a word to his daughter. The daughter moaned and impatiently waited, wondering what he was doing. After 20 minutes, he turned off the burners. He took the potatoes out of the pot and placed them in a bowl. He pulled the boiled eggs out and placed them in a bowl. He then ladled the coffee out and placed it in a cup. Turning to her, he asked, "Daughter, what do you see?" "Potatoes, eggs, and coffee," she hastily replied. "Look closer," he said, and touched the potatoes. She did and noted that they were soft. He then asked her to take an egg and break it. After pulling off the shell, she observed the hard-boiled egg. Finally, he asked her to sip the coffee. Its rich aroma brought a smile to her face. "Father, what does this mean?" she asked. He then explained that the potatoes, the eggs and coffee beans had each faced the same adversity, the boiling water. However, each one reacted differently. The potato went in strong, hard and unrelenting, but in boiling water, it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile, with the thin outer shell, protecting its liquid interior until it was put in the boiling water. Then, the inside of the egg became hard. However, the ground coffee beans were unique. After they were exposed to the boiling water, they changed the water and created something new. "Which are you?" he asked his daughter. "When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean?" Moral of the story is, in life, things happen around us, things happen to us, but the only thing that truly matters is what happens within us. This story is about a little boy who was unable to control his greed. Sam and Tom were identical twins. They were so identical that even their mother found it difficult to distinguish one from the other. But apart from their looks, the two boys couldn't be any more different. The first young boy, Sam, had no problems making friends. Meanwhile, the other little boy, Tom, was bad at keeping them. Sam loved sweets, but Tom loved spicy food. Sam was mommy's pet, and Tom was daddy's pet. Sam was generous and selfless. Tom had a very bad temper and was very greedy. As Sam and Tom grew up, their father wanted to share his fortune equally amongst them. However, Tom did not agree, and he argued that whoever proved to be more intelligent and strong would have to get a bigger share of the wealth. Sam agreed. Their father decided to organize a competition between the two. He asked the two sons to walk as long as they could and return home before sunset. The wealth would be divided in proportion to the distance covered. As a rule of the competition, they were not permitted to carry a watch to keep track of the time. The following day, Sam and Tom set out to walk. It was a rather sunny day. Sam walked slowly and steadily, while Tom broke into a sprint as he was bent on winning the race and winning a greater portion of his father's wealth. Sam knew that it would be ideal to walk as far as possible until noon, then head home by noon, as it would take the same amount of time to walk back home. And so he did. However, Tom, with his greed to earn more wealth, did not attempt to return home even after mid-noon. He walked twice as long as Sam and thought he would still be able to return home before sunset. He hurried back when he saw the sun turn orange. Unfortunately, he could not even make it halfway. Darkness slowly engulfed his path, and he had to drag his tired feet back home. He had lost the race because of his greed. The moral of the story is, it's tempting sometimes to pull a fast one to get ahead of everyone else. In the story, Tom thought that by outsmarting his twin brother, he'll be able to accumulate an extra portion of his inheritance. His greed caused him to overestimate his own abilities, and this led him to lose the race and money in the process. Meanwhile, Sam won by analyzing the situation and being smart about the whole thing. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you like the stories.